"Mr. President, what brings you here?" Mu-won pointed to the shirt he was wearing. "I bought this shirt from Glow Spa." The subordinate could not read in between the lines. He stated confidently, "That was one of our products?" "I truly believed that it was a luxury brand item." Yurei asked if something is wrong with the shirt. "Not with the shirt, but I had forgotten something with the purchase." "You had forgotten something?" both Yurei and her subordinate questioned. "A neck pillow," he said. "The neck pillow. The one that came with a purchase over $200 during the opening event." "I didn't get one," Mu-won stated. Yurei commented. "You're looking for a gift that was given out a month ago? You said you didn't need it." "Me, when?" he asked with a clueless expression. "Gah, he's so frustrating." Yurei screamed when she thought of that time. She asked him if he wanted one. And he rejected it. But she could only swallow her frustration and said, "I'm sorry, but the gifts have been all given out." "Heh, how weird. The revenue does not add up to the total of all the fits being used up." His statement frightened both Yurei and her subordinate. "Ms. Lee, come to my office with the neck pillow. We will discuss about your sales." Yurei asked if she could bring it tomorrow, if he doesn't mind, as she already had prior engagement today. Mu-won retorted, "So you're saying a vendor will fail to secure the president a neck pillow?" "Excuse me? What?" she probed. "Anyways, I need that neck pillow today. So you better bring one to me in person," he ordered. Yurei cursed, "To hell with the neck pillow. He could start his own factory if he actually needs one." Jianhua asked, "Could he be monitoring us?" Yurei answered, "That cannot be. Have you ever heard of a CEO nut enough to directly monitor a store, in person?" Yes, the CEO in front of them was nuts enough. Jianhua pushed Yurei to go. "Whatever. The vendor selection period ends soon. So you better earn some brownie points. Now go." A few hours later, Yurei was carrying a bag. She texted Duyun that she will be about 30 minutes late. She went to the president's office and was told he is not in. The receptionist stated that he's attending to something urgent. Yurei asked if the receptionist could deliver the item to him, then. The receptionist apologized, and declined, that it won't work. The president will be back soon, so why don't she deliver it in person? Left with no choice, Yurei could only wait in Mu-won's office. She sat on the couch, and questioned while yawning, where could he possibly be? He told her to come right away. Sometimes later, Yurei opened her eyes, and saw Mu-won quietly going through some documents. He covered her with his suit shirt to keep her warm and even put the neck pillow behind her neck for support. "You're up?" he asked. Flustered of the scene, she asked, "When did you come?" Mu-won looked at his watch and said about an hour ago. Now that she is up, they should talk about the sales? Now? Why didn't you wake me up? Mu-won replied, "I have no interest in waking up a tired person." What? She had flashbacks of their married life. Mu-won was on top of her, kissing her. She begged him, "Mu-won, let's sleep now." Mu-won answered, "You may sleep. If you can." And proceeded to undo her night dress. Every time he returned from his business trip, he would wake her up, and bother her all night long, making love to her. Yurei suggested to discuss about the sales revenue tomorrow. Mu-won refuted, "You're a vendor representative, do you think that's appropriate to say in a business meeting?" Unable to decline, she decided to discuss the sales. She asked what is his biggest concern. He asked, "Compared to other brands, your store has a low purchase rate among tourists. What is your marketing strategy?" "We're considering focusing on flagship marketing." Yurei answered. "You're going to win the battle through flagship products? A specialty retailer's strength is variety. Would your proposed strategy be effective?" Yurei answered, "Due to the economic recession, expenditures on clothing have been going down. Basic items will be our flagship items, and we will display them in various styles." Mu-won praised, "Not bad, better than he expected." He added, "Glow Spa failed to appeal to tourists, but when looking at the sales only, it hit the highest mark among the new brands. That means it is doing quite well." Yurei agreed, "Yes, it's not bad if there was no 3 months condition, but it's tough to compete with the others if you leave out the tourists." Mu-won encouraged, "Things will change soon." So, what she needed to do is to just continue working diligently like she is right now. Yurei rushed as fast as she could to the dinner with Duyun. When she arrived at the lobby area, it was pretty much empty. There was an overhead announcement of stores closing. Ray looked at her watch. What did she expect? He couldn't have waited for 2 hours. She should call him and apologize. Suddenly, a voice asked if she is done now? Ray turned around and saw Donghua. She asked, didn't he leave yet? He texted her that he would wait, but the store announced it was starting to close up, so he moved his car to another place. Ray was apologetic, still it's so late now. Duyun said it was okay. He was very good at waiting. At the restaurant, Ray apologized. She made a reservation at a nicer restaurant, but Duyun told her no worries. He liked bibimbap. Duyun reminisced how they had bibimbap when they first met. Ray agreed, and that Duyun and Chief Kong were being so polite about who should take the egg. It was quite nice to watch. Duyun said that was how his father always is. For him, he is rather shy and tried to stop his father. Duyun changed the topic. There's something I need to talk to you about. Is it possible that President Choi has got his eyes on you? His eyes on me? Duyun asked, wasn't the meeting just an excuse to see you? He sat the spoon down and explained, after waiting for a while, I went to your store. They said you went to see the CEO of the department store. It's very rare for a CEO to meet with vendor staff. And then the way he treated you the other, was a little odd. By any chance, have you seen him acting weird? Ray denied. No, it's not like that. Duyun encouraged, I know it's hard to talk about. But if you don't confront it now, things will get harder. Ray knew that Duyun totally got it wrong. She stated, it's not what he thinks it is. Duyun asked, how can she be sure? Ray had no choice but to tell the truth. He is my ex-husband. Your ex-husband, doesn't he work for Sungwon Constructions? Yes, but he recently took over the department store. Then you knew he was working there when you started? Ray answered, she had no choice. She took over the position from another person. He didn't know either. Isn't it uncomfortable seeing him? Ray assured, there is nothing she can do, and as soon as she gets the contract signed, it's over. Duyun looked like he had many things running through his mind, but he stopped questioning her. After the dinner, Duyun sent Ray home. He suggested to drop her off at the entrance, but she told him to drop her off at the roadside. Ray bid goodbye to Duyun. Before she left, he told her to wait and chased after her. He asked, let's date, as a man and a woman. Let's not be just close friends, but, let's try being in a relationship. Ray declined his confession. She doesn't want to. Duyun asked why? Ray explained, she already failed in her marriage and she'll be taking off soon. Duyun told her he was okay with that. He already knows about her past, and as soon as his current project is done, he was going to leave anyway. Still, Ray rejected his confession offer. Duyun was left thinking, where was his mind by asking her to go out? Is it because he used to say it to himself over and over again, more than hundreds, thousands of times? He was going to wait like a good oppa, but he is sick and tired of waiting now. The next day at Glow Spa, Duyun came by to ask Ray for lunch if she is not busy. She noticed he wore the same shirt as Manwha's. Ray was about to decline when her subordinates interrupted, oh, great timing. Our boss was just about to go for lunch. Unable to refute, Ray said it's their busy season, so she can't be out too long. Duyun suggested, the food court upstairs will do. The subordinate pushed Ray towards Duyun, and answered cheerfully, you bet. That's a nice pick. Ray called, Jianhua. At the food court upstairs, Duyun asked if he was making Ray uncomfortable. She answered, not exactly. But she doesn't know how to act around him right now. They've known each other since they were kids. And suddenly to hear that from him. Duyun replied, it's not sudden for him. To him, he has cared about her like that for a long time now. His statement shocked her. But he didn't give her time to feel shock. He added, his feelings are not new. He will not ask her to change anything immediately. So, let's continue meeting as good friends while they're in Korea. She can take her time to think about it, and if she does not feel the same, he will drop it. Would that work for her? After all that sincere confession, Ray can only say, she will think about it. In the office, Manwha questioned, what directive did I give you, Department Head Han? Director Han answered, nervously, to be ready for China's possible changes. Manwha asked, you knew it, and nonetheless expanded the event zones, causing the store sales to plummet? Director Han replied, I didn't expect tourists to just disappear like that. Manwha shut her up. I've heard enough. Starting with those damn event zones, come up with strategies to attract local customers, and prepare a written report by tomorrow. Shaken, she asked, by tomorrow? Mu1 glared at her and she could only comply. Mu1 slammed the door, humphed, will things ever run smoothly without him getting involved? Mu1 arrived at the Glow Spa. Jianwu greeted him excitingly. How are you, Mr. President? An Armani today. Looks super great on you. Mu1 commented, things seem to be going well here. Thanks to you, sir. What do you mean? Mu1 was not sure what he contributed. Jianwu gestured at the display. Our manager displayed that shirt with a suit after watching your outfit the other day. The reaction has been quite good so far. Mu1 looked at it, and that is similar to his taste. He asked, where is the manager? Jianwu replied, she went out for lunch with a customer. Jianwu replied nervously, well, the customer stops by our store often, and at the same time is my manager's personal guest. Before he could explain, he excused himself to go help a customer. Mu1 thought, she never accepts his offer for a meal. Who the heck would that be? Mu1 entered his office and saw Duyun sipping coffee, waiting for him. I have a quick matter to discuss. Do you have a moment? Mu1 noticed the shirt on Duyun. He thought, how many did you sell? Let's cut to the chase. I'm rather booked up. Duyun admitted, the fact is I misunderstood you. I took you as an unscrupulous guy who gets handsy with the female staff of your vendors. Excuse me? Asked Mu1. I was almost going to do something about it, but then Yurei told me that you are her ex-husband, Mr. Choi. Mu1 sat down and crossed his arms. You didn't know that? He guessed, they're not as close as they appeared to be. Duyun answered, I rather not dwell on the guy my beloved was married to. I am planning to go out with Yurei. Go out. Mu1 repeated. I thought it would be appropriate to let you know in advance. I also think both parties need to engage in a level of decorum. Decorum? Mu1 asked. Duyun explained, divorce may not be a big deal nowadays. But it's not a good look for an ex-husband to linger around his ex-wife like that. Mu1 challenged, what if I do not intend to stay as ex-husband? If a divorce is no big deal, isn't it even more acceptable to reunite after divorce? Duyun asked, surely, you're not saying you're considering reuniting? Mu1 retorted, that's none of your business, so stay in your lane. Be a good person, friend of her brother. No more than that. Duyun stood up, whether I am more than that or not, is up to you, Ray. On the phone, a person's voice can be heard, asking where Department Head Han currently is. The executive meeting is about to start. Department Head Han half-heartedly listened to the voicemail and stated, I cannot attend. I have a severe migraine, send Manager Choi instead. She hung up the phone as soon as she finished. She ordered the sale associate to ring up the products she chose and bring it up to her. She gritted her teeth, angrily. Executive meeting? Am I nuts? It's so obvious he's just going to scold me about the event zone expansion. Even my father has never scolded me like that. Stalking inside Glow Spa department store, Department Head Han scowled as she watched Yurei helping a customer with passion. Crossing her arms with a sour expression, she blamed, it's all because of her. I should have been able to knock out Glow Spa with higher sales. But I got so caught up in my own feelings and beating Glow Spa, that I missed the signs of the shifting consumer markets. Watching Yurei like a psycho stalker, she saw Yurei changing the display during working hours. Suddenly it hit her that Glow Spa is probably out of stock. And an idea popped in mind. The next day, Yurei's phone rang. Still groggy, she answered the phone. A panicked Jianwu reported, Boss, it's an emergency. The merchandise that we were supposed to restock today is all gone. What? The news woke up Yurei completely. At Glow Spa, Yurei seemed to have rushed as fast as she could. She asked, what do you mean it's all gone? We put them in the storage room yesterday. Did you check with the other stores? They might have mistaken them as theirs. Jianwu answered, we have asked every store in person, but no. And the security camera was being replaced yesterday. Some customers placed pre-orders because we told them we'd restock today. But now we're all out of our inventory for A3 and D7. Yurei stated, she will check with the factory if there's available stock. If there's nothing, they'll have to manufacture. While on the phone, Yurei asked, what do you mean you cannot manufacture? Han Jiangwu Call has what? What do you mean by they have pre-reserved the fabric? Neither Belga nor their seasonal two-pieces use this fabric. Yurei hung up the phone and told her staff to hang in there for the next 5 days while they wait for the factory to manufacture them. Get free gifts for the customer who made reservations, and let's focus on other products for now. In hindsight, Yurei felt like she knew why the Han Wool Company, no. The department head Han is doing this. She went to investigate at Belga's store, looking at the display shirt on the mannequin. The shirt is new that just came out. She looked at the product tag and is sure that it is the same fabric as theirs. And the price is even lower than their shirt. Hello. Can you please leave, if you're done? Order a Belga sale associate. Yurei apologized and left. The discount events are impossible without the approval of the sales management department. Glow Spa was only allowed to do it once during their opening. For Belga it's already the 5th or 6th times. On top of that, the new Belga shirts are made of the same fabric as theirs that have disappeared. She worked like hell, searching all day long through the storage for the lost products. So far, she's been patient with everything going on, but this was too much. Yurei pounded her chest, hiding behind the staircase. And suddenly her hand was grasped. What is the matter? Mu-won? She was surprised to see him standing in front of her. He asked again, what's the matter? Yurei choked, staring at him, unable to utter a word. Tears clouded her eyes. What's the matter? Maybe she just needed to hear that phrase. She leaned onto his chest and sobbed. He could only allow her to remain in his embrace and hugged her tightly. Having not touched her food, Dianapa asked if she is not hungry? And she seemed very busy these days. Is the store getting too much for her? No Appa, it's just that time of the season. How about you? I have your business card, but I'm not sure what you're doing exactly. Dianapa explained, he works for a foreign investment company. He does legal counseling for the companies that lend money to other companies whose finances are tight. Oh, do you like your job? She asked. Of course, I do. He replied without hesitation. Yurei said she never expected him to quit being a prosecutor, as it was his dream early on. Dian answered, back then, I thought a prosecutor was like a superhero, who put all the bad guys into jail. But in reality, there were factions, those whose education had been funded by mega companies, and I was an outsider, without a fancy degree or major connections. Yurei stated that she remembers hearing that he was offered sponsorships, but that he refused them. She also heard that her father wanted him to handle the issues of Yusung cooperation. Didn't his father say anything? He did, we fought a lot over that issue. She asked why was he so firm about refusing it. Dian didn't tell Yurei the exact reason why, as during that time, he told his father, I don't want to live like you. The face his father made when he refused his father was, how his father's eyes and lips twitched. Thinking about it, he unconsciously clenched the chopsticks harder. Instead, he told her, nothing comes for free. You become bound and indebted if you accept any kind of support. Yurei looked amazed at his determination. Dian smiled at her, with deep meaning behind his eyes. Here, help yourself. You look like you've lost weight. He put a piece of meat on her plate. While Dian went to pay the bill, Yurei was squatting by the indoor pond. Dian asked what she is looking at? She told him there are silk carp in the pond. He exclaimed there are really some. While putting his suit jacket over Yurei to shield her from the cold, he asked, you raised carps back in Songbuk-dong, right? Yes, she replied. She turned to him and thanked for the jacket. Dian remembered, he was helping her clean and gather the dead carps, while the young Yurei cried over the dead carps. Deep in his heart, he felt like he would never be on equal footing with her, if he were to receive the support from Yusung Corporation. He thought that if he were to make his mark, he might be able to approach her. Even if it may not happen right away. Dian reached his arm across her back, about to hold her shoulder, but held himself back and withdrew his hand. At Glow Spa, their factory slip was as white as a sheet of paper. There was no inventory listed. Their customer flow has decreased and now this discount sale by their competitor, things do not look too good for them. Suddenly, a customer entered their shop. Yurei, Jianhua and Yun Song welcomed the customer excitedly. The customer was a gorgeous lady in shades. Jianhua went to assist the customer. Observing from a distance, Yun Song bet that the customer is a celebrity. Her face is as small as a compact disc. And those proportions, hard to achieve in sneakers. Just as Yun Song was making his reasons, the customer waved at Ray. Boss, you know her? Asked Yun Song. No. How am I supposed to know a celeb? Before Ray could finish, the customer grabbed her hand and said happily, it's been such a long time. Don't you recognize me? The customer is Ms. Su Ji-yoon. Yun Song exclaimed, I'm a fan of My Wife Returns. Aren't you busy shooting for the program? What brings you here? Su Ji-yoon slipped down her shades and stated the script is being revised, so they are on hiatus. She didn't actually come to shop, but she better buy one out of courtesy. Just as Ray was thinking, no wonder Moo-won has a crush on her. Suji interrupted and asked if Ray could give her some recommendations. Ray agreed and asked what's it for? Suji stated, a man in his 30s, a workaholic, and loves luxury brands. Anything good for under outerwear? Ray said a turtleneck is popular now. Suji replied, a turtleneck won't work as that person doesn't like anything around the neck. Ray thought. Oh, that's Moo-won. Then, how about this one? Showing a plaid shirt. It comes in various colors, and because of the basic design, it can go with various outerwear. Suji happily accepted the shirt and asked for one extra in navy color to be wrapped separately. Ray asked if it will be for the same person. Yes, for a special one. Suji replied. While wrapping the shirts, Ray cannot help but guessed if the separate shirt is for Moo-won. He's so good-looking, rich and so capable. Not only that, he's got a warm heart too. Before Suji left, she waved to Ray and said, nice to meet you. See you again in a bit, Uni, which stunned Ray as according to Suji's profile, Suji is 2 years older than Ray. The next day, Ray learned the meaning of Suji Yoon see you again. Two mans from L Productions greeted Ray at the counter in Glow Spa. They are producing the drama, My Wife Returns. And they came to ask whether Ray is interested in product placement in their television drama. Ray asked why L Production chose their brand among other bands. L Production stated, they had a recent revision in the script. Su Ji-yoon's character is now playing a menswear designer, instead of a womenswear designer. So, they'd been looking for a brand there since they have support from the Sungwon department store to use their locations for shoots. But above all, Miss Su Ji-yoon highly recommended Glow Spa. They also heard that Glow Spa is well known in China, so they thought that it might help Glow Spa expand their market reach. Upon hearing this, Ray was so happy. She gladly accepted the offer for product placement. She asked about incur fees. The men told her not to worry about it. Sometimes later, Yun Song asked if they found it strange. Jianhua asked what's so strange? Yu Song explained, it's interesting that a soap opera with the highest view rating came to them for product placement. The management department would have referred to Han Jiangwool Company. Jianhua stated, that's totally understandable. He used to work for an entertainment agency. That's how he heard, that as soon as the script for My Wife Returns came out, Hai Wan-jan said she wanted to take it. But then Su Ji-yoon took it. As everyone knows, Suji has had good connections ever since she made her debut as an actress. And since then, Hai Wei-jang and Su Ji-yoon are on bad terms. They won't receive swags from the same place. That's why Su Ji-yoon won't be placing Han Jiang Company brand in her program, since that's a brand Hai Wan-jang is modeling for. In this world, there is a huge, invisible mirror, which helps to bring everything into a balance, be it a good thing or bad thing. So, no matter how difficult things may be now, you will get a reward one day if you endure and keep it up. Duyun's father was giving words of wisdom onto the young Ray and Duyun. Now as an adult, Duyun thinks of his father's words, but then, why couldn't his father endure and keep it up? A secretary's announcement interrupted Duyun's thought. Executive Vice President Yu Hyun Lee from Yusung Corporation has arrived. The moment Duyun gave permission for entry, the door slammed bam. Opened. A man stomped angrily towards Duyun and growled, "You bastard." As he landed a punch at Duyun but was stopped. Duyun grabbed his wrist and asked where is his manner? Yu Hyun only then realized that Duyun's got such a firm grip. Yu Hyun asked angrily, were you the one who took care of President Kim? Duyun asked confusedly, what do you mean by President Kim? Yu Hyun scowled, don't play dumb. I've just met President Kim personally and heard what you did. Aha! You mean President Kim of Itaewon? I just met him for the first time in months and kindly explained about the risks. He must have decided to cover his ass, since he's engaged in so many underhanded deals. Yu-hyun screamed, "Are you insane? I told you I'd pay you back. Why did you do such?" Before he finished, Do-hyun interrupted. "You don't have to pay me back." "What did you say?" "I said, you don't have to pay me back." "You did not, wait. Did you intentionally approach me because of this? Such an ungrateful bastard." Yu-hyun scolded as he retracted his fist. "That's exactly what I should be saying now," repeated Do-hyun. "We were still on good terms when you got a loan from me. Don't you remember calling me a lifesaver?" Do-hyun reminded. "Ungrateful," Yu-hyun reproached, "that father of yours. He didn't even finish college, he was destined to stay as a chauffeur and run errands all his life. And it was Yusung Corporation that raised him up to chief secretary. And how dare you? How can you possibly pull this shit on me?" Do-hyun asked firmly. "Is that why you framed my father?" "What?" stunned Yu-hyun. Do-hyun answered, "The one who ordered to set the fire that time. Was you, Yu-hyun Lee." At Junhee's apartment, Yu-rae and Junhee were enjoying some biscuit crackers with wine. Junhee rushed, "Come on Yu-rae. It's starting. Congrats. Make a killing." "Thanks," Yu-rae replied as they cheered. She asked if Junhee watched the soap opera. Junhee replied she did not, but she knew the plot. Everybody is crazy over it. She just never expected that the drama would be shot in Yu-rae's store. Yu-rae replied cheerfully, "Me neither. The shooting is over, but still, I cannot believe it was real." While watching the soap opera on the television, Junhee asked, "Does Hyun Ukg really look so handsome in real life?" "Yup. He's thin-faced, but he has a gorgeous bone structure," replied Yu-rae, although she actually cared more about the shirt he wore to the shooting location than his look. She had a flashback of the shoot where she was observing from afar and noticed he wore the same shirt she once recommended to Suji. The shirt was the newest model that came out last week. She wondered when he purchased it. Since Glow Spa is the only store in South Korea, Junhee stated, Suji Yoon also had a thin face and clean-cut features. Surprised, Yu-rae asked if Junhee had seen Suji. "She sometimes comes to the clinic on the second floor. She doesn't come down to the cafe though." Yu-rae remembered, Woo Jaeyoung is running a psychiatric clinic upstairs of Carpe Diem. Junhee said that other celebs go there quite often. Suddenly she made a statement about the soap opera. "Look, that knitted top Hyun Ukg is taking off now, will most likely sell like hot cakes." Yu-rae replied gleefully, "It sure will. Thanks to him, we had numerous orders." The two girls chit-chat and laugh while they celebrate. Yu-rae pointed to the television and said she had been to that place. Junhee's interest perked up. "What? With whom?" She beamed, "With Do-hyun Oppa?" Yu-rae answered, "Yes, it was last week." Whoa. You two have been going out on dates." "We're not dating. We just eat and go for walks." Yu-rae denied. "Hey, that's called a date. What else is it?" Junhee asked. The phone on the table buzzed, grabbing the attention of the two. They looked at the phone at the same time and the screen was Do-hyun Oppa. Yu-rae answered the phone. Do-hyun asked if she is home? Or with her friend? She said yes to both. Do-hyun said he'll be passing by her house in a bit. Does she want him to get some late-night snacks? No, thank. Before she could finish, Junhee took the phone from Yu-rae and said she is Junhee Seo, and they would love to have some snacks. Do-hyun asked what would they like to have for snacks. Touched, Junhee said they will eat anything he brought and thanked him. Junhee hung up the phone and reported, Do-hyun will be at the apartment entrance in half an hour. Yu-rae was lost for words. I thought you avoid late-night snacks because it'll make you puffy. The elated Junhee smirked, do you really think this is about night snacks? He is just making excuses to see you. Yu-rae couldn't refute and stood up. Leaving already? Yu-rae stated she is just collecting trash to throw away on the way out. Outside by the dumpsters, Yu-rae tossed the trash she collected. On the playground near it, Yu-rae sat on the swing, ruminating about her childhood, time spent hanging out with Do-hyun. Even if it may take some time, she thought the comfortable feeling would someday turn to a feeling for him as a man. But suddenly, images of Moo-won kissing her pop in her mind. The awfully handsome man, reading documents casually when she opened her eyes, or when he just embraced her silently behind the stairwell. Yu scolded herself, what's wrong with me? Then, she saw a black car in the distance that just entered the gate. The car stopped. Yu thought it was Dionapa, but the person who got out of the car was Mu1. The moment he got out of the car, he only glanced at one direction, it was the direction of her apartment. After gazing at her apartment, he just walked away. At Carpe Diem, Mu1 entered Wu Jiang's clinic. What's up? Aren't you supposed to be in China? He asked. Mu1 answered, changed the itinerary. I returned just now, 1 day earlier. Wow. I'm overly grateful. Then you directly came here from the airport? Grateful? You're teasing me. Mu1 seemed discomfort as he loosened his ties. During his stay in China, he was busy meeting with people and going over paperwork, but his mind was fixated on one place. Her warm tears that wet his jacket and her twitching fingertips, the sudden cry that sounded like she had been trying so hard to keep it contained. Tea was served and Mu1 asked, what's up with the tea? No booze? Wu Jiang shrugged his shoulders and replied, you must have drunk way too much already, while doing business in China. You probably came here thinking you might end up staying up all night, so now you're drinking tea to help you fall asleep. Mu1 sipped the tea and thought, he should be a fortune teller instead of a doctor. While in thoughts, his phone buzzed. Mu1 glanced at his phone and got an Instagram notification update of Yu. It was a picture shot of the soap opera, Glow Spa, first appearance in Wife Has Returned, watch the premiere. Mu1 thought, that Hai Sohan. She's so much like her father. She is like a baby version of the big snake. How could she do such things? Removing stocks, eating Glow Spa to the fabric, and making copies. If Glow Spa had been a small domestic company, it would have collapsed right away. He was only able to grasp it after watching and listening to Yu cry. How long she must have held back her tears. Why hadn't he asked her earlier if she was okay or not? Wu Jiang suddenly asked, how's it going with Yu lately? What? Junhee told Wu Jiang the Yu is seeing someone else. Mu1 sat the teacup down and stated confidently, he's not a big deal. He was her older brother's friend since they were very young. The son of chief secretary, and they grew up together. Does that mean he's Yu Yunli's friend? His friend would be a badass. Mu1 replied, not quite. How do you know? Questioned Wu Jiang. I've met him. Oh. You met him? A second later, it hit Wu Jiang. He stood up and exclaimed, wait a minute. You've met who? The other day when I told you I'm giving counseling to Haiwan, you freaked out and commented, oh, is this Hollywood? Having acted like that. You met the guy? Mu1 calmed down Wu Jiang. Don't be so dramatic. He dropped by the department store as a customer. He's just her brother's friend. Just her brother's friend? Do you know how dangerous that position is? Asked Wu Jiang. Humph. I see, you have experience. Arg. Never mind. Mu1 asked his friend, does he know a company called LJ Partners? LJ Partners? Why do you ask? What do they do? Mu1 replied, since Wu Jiang is knowledgeable about different investments, like private equity funds. And his mother is an expert, too. Above anything else, that place is frequented by some shady people. Wu Jiang was struck with that statement about shady people. He scolded, anyone would take that comment the wrong way. This is a sacred clinic. Mu1 excused himself and said he thinks he can sleep now. He better go and rest, because he has a lot to take care of. Glow Spa is now back to busy mode. Shop was filled with customers and Yu just rang up a customer. She smiled and thought, the soap opera made a huge impact. Jianhua exclaimed cheerfully, boss. Boss. We're sold out again. This week's sales surpassed last month's sales. Yu answered, yes, it did. Things look promising, we might meet our sales goals. I heard the orders in China increased a lot as well, thanks to the soap opera. Yun Song chimed, but I don't think it's being aired in China yet. Thanks to online streaming, you can watch the soap operas when they air nowadays. Jianhua explained. Yu Song asked, isn't it all thanks to Su Jiyun? They got the product placement thanks to Su Jiyun's referral, and the scene with Haiyan UK Jews putting on and taking off their clothes was added thanks to Suji. How about sending her something as a thank you? Yu nodded and agreed with Yu Song. They owe Su Jiyun a great deal. Giving her a gift would be nice. Jianhua asked what would Suji like. Just between them, she paid a black card the last time she came. The name on the card holder was Choi. Choi. That surprised Yurei too, but she interrupted the guys and stated that it was not important. What matters is the heart of the giver. Both men agreed. What matters is the appreciation they showed from their hearts. So how about giving her a small gift? For instance. The three have no clue what gift it could be. At home, Yurei discussed with Junhee. Junhee stated that Suji is known to have stress migraines, as acting is a stressful occupation. That's what she heard from the nurse at the clinic. The next day at Glow Spa, Yurei was on the phone with Suji. Suji would like to thank Yurei for the present and that Yurei doesn't really need to send the gift. But she was just going to buy a new aroma oil diffuser, so Yurei got her a perfect gift. Yurei told Suji that they are the ones who owe her. Their sales have increased greatly, and it was all thanks to Suji. Suji replied that she was very happy to hear that. Honestly, it was the very first time Mu-1 Appa asked her for any kind of favor. This statement startled Yurei. Mu-1. Yes, he worried a lot about you. In the background someone shouted, Miss Suji, we're shooting now. Suji then told Yurei she gotta go. They should have dinner sometimes. Just the two of them with Mu-1. Yurei felt conflicted. She knew the opportunity was too good to be true. Is that because she grabbed him and burst into tears? Still, how could he ask Suji-yun for her? And is it wrong that Suji accepted his request and invited her to dinner? Yurei got so angry that her mind went blank. She stormed to the president's office, scaring Secretary Kim and his colleague. She told them she would like to meet with the president. Inside Mu-1's office, Yurei stood before him. She asked why did he arrange the product placement of Glow Spa in that soap opera? Mu-1 asked, who told her? She stated she heard from Suji-yun directly. Just what was he thinking? Did she ever ask him for something like that? He didn't think his action was wrong. He asked what is she saying? Yurei clenched her fingers and said, she is sorry that she cried in front of him that day. She was way too emotional back then, but she had no intention of asking him for anything. Mu-1 replied, he knows. She asked, why did he do that? You were crying. Mu-1 reasoned. And I could see you were having a hard time. How could I not do something? I held back my anger. I almost turned the management department and Hanjiang company upside down. Because of you, because you shouldn't get into trouble, and because I know you don't want my help. Yurei stated her stance. That still doesn't mean you can ask Suji-yun to help me. Suji-yun is the woman you like. What? I like what woman? Mu-1 was dumbfounded. Yurei explained, that night you were drunk, and mistakenly asked me out in place of Suji-yun. Even if we are separated, I don't like getting help from the woman my ex-husband has a crush on. I will terminate the product placement agreement, sir. Mu-1 touched his temple and sighed. Hold on. The Suji-yun you're talking about now, is the ex-wife of Wu Jiang-lim. Yurei face dimmed, speechless. No way, he likes his friend's ex-wife? She asked, why would his ex-wife be all buddy-buddy with you and call you Appa? To her, it doesn't make sense. Why would someone call her ex-husband's friend Appa and stay close? Mu-1 explained, because she's my family as well. Suji-yun's real name is Haiwan Choi. She's Mrs. Yun's daughter, Iwan's younger sister, and my cousin as well. Shocked Yurei questioned, what? No way. How? How did I not know about it until now? I don't remember seeing her at your family gathering. Suji was kind of a black sheep there our family, ever since she got divorced and started her acting career, with Mrs. Yun's temper. Whoever fails to meet her standard does not exist anymore. Yurei understood, as the moment Iwan gave up on everything and walked out of the house, he did not exist anymore. It would be the same for her daughter. Mu-1 told her if you want, he can put her through right now to Haiwan, Wu Jiang, or Secretary Sun to confirm it. Or putting her through Mrs. Yun directly? And no. Yurei blushed in embarrassment for misunderstanding the situation. She is sorry for misunderstanding. Holding on to her hand, he gazed at her tenderly. Then, he pulled her in closer up against his body. Then, is it my turn to misunderstand you? He questioned. Confused, she asked, misunderstand what? Mu-1 gazed at Yurei, how she could be so cute. He asked why was she so upset then. Well, Yurei, feeling flustered from the physical proximity, wasn't able to come up with a reason why. He leaned in even closer, almost touching her face, and asked, "You what?" As he gently touched her face, to her lips, and leaned in for a deep passionate kiss. He kissed every inch of her small delicious mouth, licking and sucking without letting her get a breath of air. Yurei's mind went blank as Mu-won pushed her up against his office table. Her hand accidentally knocked over his name plaque, which woke Mu-won to release her. Still leaning over her, he asked while caressing her face, "Is this a misunderstanding too?" "If this is a misunderstanding, I'll continue until we know it's not." Yurei covered her lips and shook her head. "Oh my goodness. Why does it make my heart beat so fast?" Looking at her reaction, it looked like she finally knows now. Mu-won grinned and declared, "The woman I love is you." Inside the van, Suji said, "I thought you knew everything Uni." She was so annoyed at Mu-won Appa. Yurei told her she didn't know Suji isn't her real name. Suji crossed her arms and complained. "There's an actress named Haiwan already." And mother said, "I must avoid using my real name and letting others know I'm her daughter if I want to become an entertainer and cut ties with her. Other people could be gossiping about me having a wealthy sponsor or something. But it's shocking to know my own family never talks about me." Yurei apologized for not knowing about Suji earlier. Should you be sorry? I'm sure that he'll say he didn't tell you because you didn't ask." Suji complained loudly, "Mu-won Appa and Mom are exactly the same in that respect, insensitive, egotistic, and determined to get their own way. To start with, he dragged me into the soap opera, then changed the main character's occupation with only 2 episodes left. All for product placement. But it's fine. I'm the winner, since I got him to pay for the extra production costs, plus advertising." Ha ha ha. Suji turned to Yurei. She was really surprised to learn that Yurei was the woman Mu-won Appa cared so much about, especially considering the kind of person he is. He grew up very lonely. His mother died giving birth to him, and his father was a good person, but not a good father. Mu-won was almost always by himself. Probably, that's why he doesn't have many attachments, be it to things or a person, because he believes they can be replaced whenever he wants. But it's different when it comes to Yurei. He was the kind of man who could readily blame others, even if he was the cause of his divorce. But he didn't say anything about divorcing Yurei, to the degree he is branded a scumbag. Because he can protect Yurei that way. "Protect me?" Yurei questioned. Suji explained, "Otherwise, there would have been swarming gossip and rumors about you. It was a mega divorce. I don't know why you two got divorced. Don't you think you could give him a pass?" Yurei clenched her fists. He was the great equalizer for her. Part of the scarlet that balances out good and bad things. The moment she entered Songbukdong, her life was filled with bad things. And Mu-won added good things to her life. A flashback of Mu-won took her to get her hand treated. He sat next to her and asked if it hurts a lot. She replied, "It's okay." Yurei stepped out of the car. Picturing Mu-won vividly in her mind, she started to wonder how he was doing. Outside the operating room, a group of people, including Mu-won and Mrs. Yoon, was seen talking to the doctor. Mrs. Yoon was asking one question after another regarding the chances of collapse again due to complications or side effects. The doctor reiterated, as mentioned previously, it was a simple operation and it went successfully. They discovered it in the golden hour. The people there are vultures swarming and waiting to devour carcasses. It's just so obvious what kind of bombs they're trying to throw at Sungwon Corporation. Before leaving, Mrs. Yoon turned to Mu-won and stated, "The department store will give you some headaches." Watching the group of people leaving, the doctor complained, "Man, she's getting crankier as she ages. Usually people mellow out." Mu-won replied, "He heard the gallery director position Mrs. Yoon is in now is too idle. So he'll move her to a busier place. Don't you remember calling her mommy once?" Mu-won readjusted his ties, feeling uncomfortable, replied, "Well, I was too young back then." The doctor told Mu-won to take it easily. If anything happens to his father, she'd be the most trustworthy person on his side. Is there anything wrong with my father? Mu1 asked. The doctor told Mu1 to pay some attention to his father. By the way, how's that Wujiang doing? Did he finally go bankrupt with that shit cafe? Mu1 asked. What do you mean by bankrupt? It's thriving. The doctor complained unhappily. He kills me, he was the youngest and he was pampered way too much. Now he's totally self-indulgent. How could he open up a cafe as soon as he became fully credentialized? I expect he'll run right home once that cafe goes bankrupt. Mu1 thought, he doesn't seem to know that his wife gave Wujiang funds since she didn't want her youngest to face any troubles. The doctor asked Mu1, is Wujiang seeing anyone? He got an offer. An arranged marriage for him. Mu1 replied, well, we are definitely past the age where we brag about girlfriends. The doctor replied, but you're dating very openly. I even heard that there's talk about marriage between you and Chairman Han's daughter. Mu1 answered, I do intend to get married again, but not with her. Inside the VIP ward, Mu1 told the elderly woman that it was just a simple surgery. The woman replied, she is in a different position from him. Mu1 answered, please do not worry. I will make sure to secure something for you, Secretary Sung. You're probably already listed in father's will. Why worry? After saying that, he pondered why Yurei hasn't called him for 2 to 3 whole days. Her cell phone is turned off and she's taking days off at the store. Is she sick or something? Looking at his phone, he asked Mrs. Sung if there is something special today. The date stands out somehow. Mrs. Sung replied, today is the anniversary of his previous marriage. On the calendar, the date Friday, the 8th was circled in red. June he asked Yurei if she wants Junhee to go with. Yurei told Junhee to go to work. Wasn't the cafe very busy as of late? Yes, but wouldn't it be hard to go by yourself? Junhee asked. Yurei told her that she will be okay. Once the door was closed, Yurei was alone. On this journey, it is tough. But regardless of whom she goes with, this weight of the world that she feels is one she must bear. While waiting for the bus, Donghua messaged to have dinner later and if she can get off work a little earlier. Yurei replied with an apology as she has a place to visit today. Yurei thought to herself, she shouldn't meet up with Donghua anymore. She cannot keep seeing him with her current feelings. On her phone, since the last message 4 days ago, Mu1 said he had to stop by his family's home and hasn't contacted her since. Well, whatever those feelings are, their relationship won't change. At the columbarium, Yurei's mother's picture was next to her ashes. While tears streaming down her face, she asked, why didn't you just say you were sick? Why didn't you just tell you couldn't raise me because you were sick? Instead of just telling me I should go and live with my father. If you did, I wouldn't have resented you for all those years for abandoning me. After seeing her mother, she walked outside. The sun was shining bright. She was hit with the sunbeam, causing her to momentarily lose her footing. But a hand held her shoulder to stabilize her. Donghua, what are you doing here? She asked surprisingly. Duyun replied, June he told him. Today is the anniversary of her mother's death. He knows what it feels like being alone in a place like this. He came with the flowers in his hand and asked if he could meet her mother. On the way back, Yurei dreamt about her mother. Her mother said she was sorry, but all Yurei could tell her mother was, she was more sorry. When Yurei woke up, Duyun was outside smoking. When he saw that she had woken up, he extinguished his cigarette and told her they should grab a bite to eat. During the meal, Yurei felt much better. She had nothing during the day except a cup of coffee. Duyun scooped his egg yolk to Yurei and asked her to eat it too. She thanked him and thought, someone who knows her so well. He even knows that she is not good with eating hot stuff and she likes eggs. At night time, they arrived at Junhee's apartment. Duyun asked Yurei if it was a hard day? She told him, she got by, thanks to him. So, she thanked him for the accompaniment during the day. He told her, she will go with her from now on. Yurei declined his offer. It won't work. It's not proper to keep seeing him like this, knowing how he felt about her. Duyun answered, if that's a problem, he could wait. He is good at waiting. Yurei told him, she is sorry as he was not the one she chose. The one who moves her heart is. Mu1 Choi. Duyun finished the sentence for her. I guessed so. She replied. He asked, are you considering reuniting? Yurei answered, I'm not considering something like that. I just want to spend my time here quietly and leave for the US. I don't have a clue what my heart wants, whether I'm confused because we used to be married to each other, or that I actually have feelings for him. Still, I would hate to take advantage of your heart because you're very dear to me, Appa. Yurei. I want you to be happy. Duyun stated. I hated you Hyun-Lee and I hated Songbuk-dong too. To even say I was a friend. I was merely a servant to you Hyun. My father, who had no clue, called me to Songbuk-dong whenever he had opportunities, insisting I must get close with you Hyun. Each time I felt like I was being dragged to the slaughterhouse. Still, one thing was good. To be able to see you there. There were so many occasions I was happy because of you. So, I hope I don't burden you or make you feel sorry for me. Go home and rest. Duyun put a hand on Yurei's shoulder and there was a loud honk. They turned to the road and saw Mu-won getting out of the car. Going towards them, Mu-won asked if them two have been together until now? Duyun answered, today is rather a tough one for Yurei. So he wanted to keep her company. Is it tough to the point where you two are still stuck together even now? Duyun asked, Yurei, does he not know what today is? She nodded nervously. But to the gloomy face Mu-won, is our wedding anniversary so difficult to bear? It's been 3 days since we last saw or contacted each other. I was dying with anxiety because her cell phone was off. And all this time, these two have been together until now? On top of that, they're looking so cozy together, with his hand on her shoulder. He complained inwardly. Mu-won grabbed Yurei's hand and said they should have a talk. Duyun grabbed Yurei's forearm and asked Mu-won to let go of her. That's what I should say. Replied Mu-won. Stuck in between, flustered, Yurei said, Duyun Appa, thank you for today. I'll call you later. Now, please leave. Upset, Mu-won asked why would she call him later. Duyun stated, Mu-won Choi, let's have a drink. Huh? Both Mu-won and Yurei were confused of the statement. At the outdoor food stand, both men were staring at Yurei. She couldn't make up where to sit as it'll be uncomfortable wherever she sits. Duyun poured the first round. First off, let's have a glass. Okay, Mu-won agreed. They drank the first round at the same time. Yurei looked nervous as Mu-won is not a drinker. Once they gulped the whole glass, Mu-won asked why did Duyun wanted to see him? How much do you know about Yurei? Duyun asked. Mu-won replied, Duyun Kong, you seem to have forgotten the fact that I was married to Yurei and we lived together for 2 years. Do you think your question makes any sense at all? Well, you don't look like the type who's interested in marriage. Duyun intercepted, and you cannot possibly assume you know everything about your partner simply because you're married? Couples who have been married for decades may not know much about each other, yet 2 years seems enough to you. Mu-won asked, how do you know whether or not they know much about each other? Yurei, who was stuck in between, could only watch and sigh. Duyun asked for more soju. Shocked Yurei pleaded Duyun to not ask for more drinks. Mu-won is a lightweight. Mu-won blushed, touched that she cared about him. Who said that? I'm not. He denied but still felt touched. After several bottles, Mu-won was swaying. Yurei looked at him anxiously and thought, that's it's true. She sighed, stood up, and told them, that's enough. She will go and buy something to help sober. Before she could finish, Mu-won grabbed her hand and stopped her. What's the big deal about knowing every little thing about each other? It doesn't change the fact that I was her husband and she was my wife. She's my woman, he declared. Mu-won. Yurei raised her voice. Duyun stated, I don't think you can even see what clothes your woman is wearing now. Mu-won's head fell onto the table, passed out, scaring Yurei. She stood up and told him, stop it, Appa. Why on earth are you doing this? Duyun reasoned, they say, when drunk, your true nature gets revealed. I was wondering what he would be like, and surprisingly, he's actually very gentle. Yurei thought. Whoa. Mu-won would have flipped out if he had heard this. At Junhee's apartment, she stood in front of her door, arms crossed, that's how you ended up at my place? The 3 of you. The 2 sober people looked guilty, while the drunk person doesn't know what's going on. Yurei replied, I'm sorry. I couldn't send him to the hotel or his relative's house like this. Duyun also apologized. Left with no choice, Junhee invited them in. While Yurei is tending to Mu-won, Duyun asks if this is where she is staying. Yes, the room used to belong to Junhee's older sister before she got married. Feeling uncomfortable watching Yurei undoing Muwan's shirt buttons, Dion left the room, dejectedly. You must be very tired. June he handed Dion a juice glass. Not at all. I'm sorry for bothering you at this late hour. And thank you for letting me know about Yurei today. June he asked, where in the world did you meet Muwan Choi? In front of the apartment building. Shocked, she asked, you mean he was waiting in front of our house? Dion looked at his phone and said he's going. The designated driver said he's almost here. June he announced to Yurei that Dion Appa is leaving. Yurei came out of the room and asked if he called a driver. Yup, he is almost here. Dion answered. I'll go with you downstairs. She wanted to send him off. I'm okay. You don't need to. He declined. Good night then, get some rest, Yurei. With that, he left and closed the door. Finally, letting out his emotions. He scolded himself, Dion Kong, you fool. In the middle of the night, Yurei went to use the bathroom and went to drink some water before bed. Holding a water bottle, she thought, Muwan will need some water for his hangover when he wakes up. She brought in a glass of water to the room where he slept. She'll just leave the water by his side, but when she got in the room, Muwan was knocked out, sleeping on his stomach, which he was not supposed to, after drinking alcohol. Yurei nudged him as she called out his name, Muwan, wake up for a moment. Come on, you're not supposed to sleep like this. Lie on your back. Muwan woke up from his drunk stupor and grabbed her hand as he called out, Yurei? Feeling relief that the finally woke up, she answered, yes, it's me. Sleep on your back. Coming into senses a little that she was the real deal, he clasped his hand against her and pressed firmly. He muttered, Yurei Lee, you didn't leave. Yurei sensed he must be drunk talking. She asked, why would she leave? This is Junhee's place. He told her, he thought she was going to leave again, like that. Unsure of what he meant by the statement, she asked, what do you mean, by again? Suddenly, he pulled her down closer to him as he sat up, gazing at Muwan as to observe if it was really her. Seeing that he leaned in closer, she asked, what is he doing? Muwan leaned in to kiss her forehead, her cheek, while her heart thumped loudly from his action. Muwan parted ways from her cheek and inched closer to her lips for the next step. She covered his mouth and told him to let her go. He's buzzed. She don't think they could go back in time. But it was different for Muwan. He had a flashback of Duyun putting his hand on her shoulder outside of the apartment earlier in the evening. His resolve firmed, and declared to her, no, I won't be a fool and lose you again. Muwan. Yurei blushed at this point. Muwan pulled her closer again and leaned in to kiss her neck, sucking and leaving his imprints on her neck as to declare she was his. As he aimed for her lips, she kept leaning backward to avoid his attack since she couldn't push him away. Until she fell on the bed. Yurei huffed as if just fought a battle, then Muwan confessed. I love you, Yurei Lee. How can he keep her by my side? Sometimes later, Junhee woke up to seeing Yurei sitting on the couch. Ack. I thought you were a ghost. There is no ghost. Why are you up so early? Yurei asked. Junhee replied, she got up to get some water. She asked if Yurei slept on the couch. She had thought Yurei slept in that room together with Muwan. Yurei had a flashback of Muwan knocked out on top of her. She asked, isn't it weird for a divorced couple to sleep together? Junhee retorted back, and it's okay to say I love you to a divorced spouse? Blushed and flustered Yurei, wah. What does she mean? Junhee apologized. I didn't mean to hear it. She is a light sleeper. And, since when are you guys? You freaked out when you first went to Sungwon department store. Yurei replied. She doesn't know. She guessed, he's growing on her. Junhee asked, I thought you were going to like Duyun Appa? That's what I thought, too, but it wasn't the case. Yeah, you cannot do much if that's what your heart wants. Tell me, are you considering getting back together with Muwan? Nope. Yurei replied. Even if we have feelings for each other, getting back together is much more complicated. There's Muwan's family, and I. I don't want to get involved with Songbukdong ever again. June he understood where Ray is coming from. You know what? Remarriage isn't our only option. You can just go out with him. The next day, Muwon woke up to an unfamiliar environment. After completely waking up, he stepped out of the bedroom and saw Junhee drinking coffee. Are you up? Muwon realized he was at Junhee's place. Ray went to the store to buy something. Water is in the fridge, and the toilet is over there. Junhee stated. Well, what happened? Last night? Junhee explained, Ray and Donghua brought you here. You were completely wasted. And I took you in, because I couldn't kick out someone who is passed out. I'm sorry for the trouble. Well, I've been misunderstanding you, too, so let's call it even. For the rest, apologize to Ray. She had a rough time. With that, Junhee left and closed the door shut, leaving Muwon dumbfounded. Misunderstanding? What could she have possibly misunderstood about me? It's probably more than just a few things. Muwon sat on the couch and pondered. Suddenly, he heard someone opening the door. Ray entered through the door. You're up? Are you feeling okay? Drink this first. She brought medicine and tomatoes to make juice for him. He accepted the medicine bottle and thanked Ray. She walked up to the fridge and asked, what on earth happened yesterday? Instead of answering, he asked, that's exactly what I want to ask you. Your phone was off, and where on earth were you all day long with Donghua? Did you know what day it was yester? Before he could finish, Ray replied, it was my mom's Memorial Day. What? Muwon was shocked. Ray explained that she didn't get any notice from Songbukdong. Muwon finally understood what Donghua meant last night's evening. You stupid jerk. Muwon Choi. He scolded himself. How did it happen? Have you been keeping in touch with your mother? No, I only learned recently. Muwon sat the juice glass on the table. Donghua, how does that guy know about it? Junhee told him. To be honest, it was kind of tough for me to handle, so I felt grateful to him. You should have told me about that kind of thing. Muwon stated. Why? You and I are divorced, Muwon. Ray stated the truth. He frowned and said, I love you. I can do what Donghua did for you too. What do you want from me? She asked. He replied to her, I want to be by your side. I'm sorry, but if remarriage is what you want, I say no. How come? He asked. I like my life as it is now. Like I said before, I'm content with my work, too. I don't want to give my life and return to the past. He promised, I'll do better, I won't make you suffer like I used to do. It's not something you can just say so easily. This isn't about you and me. He asked. Then what is it that you want with me? What am I to you? I'd like to propose, how about going on a date? Dating? We were married and got divorced. He reasoned. We didn't go out. She pointed out. Inner Muwon thought, yeah. That's true, but... Ray elaborated. There weren't that many times when I thought I wanted to do something. There was hardly anything we would do. Yet. I'd like to go out with you. Like ordinary people normally do. Muwon stood up and replied, good. I'll do as you say. Phew. Ray thought she would have to try more to convince him. Thank you. Then? You'll stop seeing Donghua from now on, right? Huh? Why do you bring him up, all of a sudden? Muwon answered, you asked me to go out. Even from an ordinary person's point of view, two-timing is unacceptable. Two-timing? I've known Donghua for a long time and he is a good person. He's my brother's friend as well. A vein popped on Muwon's face and he scolded inwardly. Damn this brother's friend. I was warned that they're the most dangerous type. You don't seriously mean you will keep seeing him? Ray asked him, what about you? What about department head Hai Suhan? Your possible future wife? The rumors about you two are widespread. I heard some people even betting on the date for your marriage. Muwon pulled her closer to him. Don't you know better than that, after what we've been through? Unless it was work-related, the chairman Han of Han Jiang Wool Company was always present. If you base it on the number of encounters, Chairman Han is the one I should get married to. Ray could only stare at Muwon. Is that all you can say? He asked, thinking how can her answer be so dry? Ray replied, she talked it over with Donghua yesterday. She guessed she won't be seeing much of him anymore, while thinking to herself. Am I being tamed now? The next day at Glow Spa store, Jianhua greeted Ray, good morning. Oh boss, today you have? Girlin. Sorry, Ray asked. You changed your lipstick, didn't you? He asked, pointing to his lips. Yurei thought, how does he know something like that? Does it look weird? Not weird, but something like I've got a date today. It looks good on you. Yurei blushed and questioned, how did he notice? It was the same thing with Junhee this morning too. While going through her wardrobes, Junhee commented out of the blue, lots of clothes on her bed, is there a war or something? Yurei asked her friend, what's up? Junhee answered back, what do you mean by what's up? The wrestling noise woke me up. She noticed the blouse and commented, the sky blue blouse is beautiful. That's the date outfit, while pointing to the blouse. Yurei asked, do you think so? Well, but it's not a date. Suddenly, Junhee asked in shock, hold on, this is a Zermes? Yes, Yurei answered. What was on your mind to wear this to eat teobaki? What if the soup splatters on the blouse? Junhee scolded. Yurei replied, I wore an apron. Junhee said, are you kidding? Oh, I had forgotten. You're the daughter of a rich family, and your ex-husband was a CEO. Yurei sighed. For this one, I got a discount with Julius VIP card and paid an installment. Ever since I bought it, I wear this lucky garment wherever I have a big contract. Yurei questioned silently to herself, in that sense won't it bring some kind of luck today as well? At the store Yurei bid goodbye to her subordinate, I've got to go. Goodbye, boss, replied her subordinates. Yurei looked at her phone, and it was 18:07. Muwon sent a text telling her that he made a 7 p.m. reservation. Looking at her phone, Yurei thought she wanted to keep their relationship by seeing each other a secret. And it's a relief Muwon accepted it without a grudge. She blushed as she headed to the elevator. In the elevator, Director Headhan was already in it. Yurei greeted Headhan, how are you department head? At the same time, her eyes widened and thought, did it have to be the same outfit? Director asked, aren't you coming? Oh yes, Yurei answered and walked in. In the elevator, while waiting for the elevator to come to a stop, Yurei felt uncomfortable being in the same space. After scrutinizing Yurei from behind, Department Head Han congratulated. I see a glow spa on the road these days. Yurei replied, thank you. Department Head Han stated, I apologize for what I said the other day, about you being ordinary. Who knew you were the scheming type? Pardon? The confused Yurei asked. Head Han replied, haven't you done enough? Flirting with CEO Choi, that whole recent product placement thing. I mean, I can see you conniving for even more. You should know your place. Oh well. I guess like mother, like daughter. You should know yourself. Before she finished, the angered Yurei shouted for her to watch what you say. Head Han replied that she was just telling the truth. Yurei answered, truth or not, these are things she should never say. Who does she think should mind her place? Head Han doesn't have the guts to be direct with someone, so she takes it out on a pushover. If she wants something, ask the right person. If she keeps going like this, Yurei won't just flirt, but seize him completely. After the declaration, the elevator came to a stop, and Yurei walked out after the door had opened. Glaring at her retreating back, Department Head Han humphed, while trembling in anger with an ugly face. How dare Yurei, the contractor? At the restaurant Muwon took Yurei out for some sushi. Seeing how she rarely touched the food, he asked, you don't look so well, are you sick or something? Yurei replied no, it's just too much work. He suggested for her to hire one more part-time staff at the store. With things the way they are now, it'll be too much to manage the store and her work with headquarters. She answered, yes, she had actually put out a job opening. Observing her face, her body, all he could think was, how can a tired person be that pretty? Muwon reached to the side, searching for something next to him. He took out something and presented a gift box to Yurei. She opened the present and saw that it was a large diamond necklace. Yurei looked at the present without much expression on her face. Seeing that she did not react much to the present, Muwon asked if he could put it on for? She declined putting on the necklace. Muwon thought, what's with that reaction? Did she not like the gift? He don't get it, is it because it's been such a long time? Seeing her indifferent look, he moved his egg bowl towards her and told her to take his. Yurei instantly beamed, excitingly, thank you. The happy Muwon asked, shall I order more? She refused his offer. He analyzed and concluded that she didn't seem to care about the diamond, but she's reacting to the steamed egg custard. After the dinner date, they both left the restaurant and headed towards the guest room elevator. Muwon reached his hand across her back to hold her waist. Well, They chatted as they drank. Wu Jiang asked if Junhee knew whether Mu1 and Yurei were seeing each other again. Junhee answered, yes. She guessed they were having a date today. He was pretty shocked to hear that Junhee would know such a thing too. Junhee replied she would, after all, both her and Yurei are roommates. Wu Jiang thought to himself, it's quite interesting to see they are close friends, since the two of them look entirely different. He probed how long have you been friends? Junhee told him that when they first met was in their sophomore year, and they got close to each other on a field trip as juniors. He commented that they must have had a great time on the field trip. Junhee stated she had to get an appendectomy in Japan. Surprised, he asked with concern of what happened to her. Junhee elaborated that she started having stomachache days before the field trip. She thought she could just ignore it because she really wanted to go. But, once she got on the plane, the pain really hit her. Junhee had flashbacks of the trip when she was moaning in pain. Yurei opened the door to only see her miserable state. With concerns, Yurei asked if she was okay since she heard that Junhee was sick. So she came to check on her? Noticing Junhee lying on the tatami mat, sweating, groaning in pain, she yelled, Junhee. Someone help. Yurei found Junhee and took her to the emergency room. Wu Jiang replied, you must have had a tough time. Junhee stated she had a tougher time after the operation, because her parents' passports had expired. It took them 3 days to get their passports reissued and to go to Japan. So, Yurei stayed with her until her parents came. Yurei is quite amazing. That's not an easy thing to do, replied Wu Jiang. After telling her friendship with Yurei to Wu Jiang, Junhee asked, since when did he become friends with Mu1 Choi? He answered, we were, maybe even before we were born? Confused, she asked, sorry? Wu Jiang explained further that their fathers were childhood friends, so they had no choice. Of course, they fought a lot when they were young. The tipsy Junhee questioned, the two of you did? Wu Jiang chattered, you know, it was so easy. It was before he started to grow up, so he was smaller than me. A voice from behind asked grumpily, who was? Shocked, Wu Jiang stood up abruptly and asked, why are you here? Mu1 asked, am I not allowed to be here? Wu Jiang pushed Mu1 away from the counter and stated, you shouldn't be here. Shouldn't you still be in the middle of your date? Mu1 answered unhappily, be quiet. Junhee thought to herself, something must have happened. She stated, boss, I will put this away and get going. Wu Jiang told her to do so. Junhee Seo, do you happen to know what kind of food Yurei like? Food? Asked the confused Junhee. She stated Yurei eats just about everything except fish. She likes eggs, and she cannot eat fish at all, and questioned if Yurei say something about that? Mu1 answered unconfidently, not exactly. Wu Jiang looked at Mu1 and humped, there's more than that. Something he cannot talk about in the presence of his wife's friend. Mu1 replied anyway, I did not know she cannot eat fish at all. Unable to comprehend how he could not understand, she asked, you never ate together during those 2 years? Mu1 replied it's not like that, but he didn't know about it because she didn't show it. Junhee sighed, took out her phone and provided information. Okay, recently, Yurei has been dying to go to this place after seeing it on television. Mu1 asked, where is it? Here. She showed the phone to both Mu1 and Wu Jiang. They both leaned in to take a look with curiosity. Is this yummy? The stone-faced Junhee muttered, don't say you've never had. Mu1 replied, I've never had it before. Junhee stated, okay, then this would be a good time to try it. Yurei's favorite snacks during this time of the year are bunjeetpang. On the side note, bunjeetpang is a fish-shaped pastry bread, usually filled with red bean paste. Also known as taiyaki in Japan. Mu1 questioned, didn't you say she cannot eat fish? The gloomy Junhee stated there are no fish in bunjeetpang. Is he dumb or what? She thought to herself. A few minutes later, at the clinic, manwha asked, did you have a blind date? Taking off his shirt, Wu Jiang asked, how do you know? Mu1 reasoned, you don't wear those colors unless you attend a conference. Well, isn't that jacket from Glow Spa? Wu Jiang smiled and looked at his jacket. Yes, that's Yurei's brand, right? The quality is quite nice. Haiwan got this for him. Mu1 stated, you went to a blind date wearing a jacket from your ex-wife? The annoying Wu Jiang complained, had I known it was a blind date, I wouldn't have worn this. Enough of that. Sushi wasn't the only reason the date was ruined, was it? Tell me what happened. The men sat face to face and there was beer involved in this counseling session. There was a reason you got dumped. No, you deserve to be dumped. You didn't feed her, tossed a present, and then took her to a hotel. What kind of date is that? Mu1 answered, when a man and a woman see each other, that's a date, isn't it? Wu Jiang replied, if that's what you think, you've never had a date up until now. Mu1 looked annoyed as a vein popped on his face. Then, what about the woman I met? The challenge is on. Wu Jiang asked, do you remember any of those women's names? Mu1 glanced away and remained silent. Look, that's your problem. You just want whatever is convenient for you. If it's a proper relationship, you should think about the other person first. Mu1 squeezed the empty beer can and asked, why did you get a divorce, knowing this so well? Wu Jiang put his hands on his waist and complained unhappily, forget it. I should just stop talking. Ah, the LJ partners you asked me about the other day, Mrs. Cheng happened to know about them. It's a paper company made by CNN Holdings. HNMM. CNN Holdings. Mu1 pondered. CNN Holdings is way too big. I tried to catch fish, but it was a whale. Wu Jiang stated, I suspect it was built to deal with illegal mergers and acquisitions. And disguised with a few clever tricks. Only a very few people know it is related to the CNN Holdings group. But why are you asking? Mu1 answered, I know someone who works there. A former prosecutor of a government financial regulatory agency is taking the position as a legal director of a M&A company dealing in illegal activity. What could he be thinking? Duyun Kong. Back at Junhee's apartment, when she arrived home, Yurei was still eating dinner and she asked, why are you so late? Junhee pondered, should she keep quiet about having met with Mu1? Instead of asking the question, she explained that cleaning up took longer than usual, and why was Yurei eating vegetables and rice at this hour? Yurei replied she tried, but couldn't fall asleep. Didn't you have a dinner date tonight? Yurei answered that it just wasn't her day. Junhee already guessed the reason why. It must be because Mu1 took her to a sushi place. Junhee told her that she will change first and join her, so you should wait for her to come back. Yurei asked if Junhee was going to eat the same thing too. Junhee replied, of course. If you finish it all by yourself, you will get a stomachache again. Sometimes later Junhee changed out of her work clothes. Sitting across from Yurei, she told Yurei that she actually met Mu1 at the cafe. So, she roughly heard about what happened. Surprise, Yurei asked. What did Mu1 say? Junhee replied that he seriously did not know she cannot eat fish. Yurei agreed that Junhee was right, but that was not the issue. Confused, Junhee asked, what's the issue? Yurei's concern was, she almost went to the hotel. It was the very first date. She reasoned with Junhee. Junhee asked, so what? You said you didn't use separate rooms when you were married. It's been quite a while, so your emotions could get rekindled. Yurei replied, I don't intend to let that happen. Junhee asked, why not? Oh. Does Mu1 have some peculiar taste in the, you know? Or is he actually weaker than he looks? With such physiques? Junhee stated jokingly. Yurei blushed shyly, and replied, it's not like that. He doesn't have any peculiar tastes and he's not weak. But physical intimacy is not a must for a dating relationship. Junhee replied, you're right about that, but you two are different from an ordinary couple who are dating that. Yurei agreed. That's my point. I want to have a different relationship from the one before. In hindsight, she was not sure what kind of person she was to Mu1. Junhee suggested that if she thought so, then for Yurei to show yourself to Mu1. What do you mean? Asked the confused Yurei. Junhee explained clearly to Yurei. It's one thing the man doesn't know anything about the food his wife cannot eat. But it's another for the woman, in this case, Yurei, to keep it to yourself. Junhee knew that she is the type who doesn't talk about what she is feeling deep down. Still, if Yurei want a relationship different from the past, shouldn't she put in some effort, as well? On her phone Mu1 texted, if she can have dinner tomorrow and she can pick the place. Yurei texted back, she will be late tomorrow because of the deadline. Mu1 texted back that it is okay with him, and they agreed to see each other tomorrow. At this moment, she understood that he's trying to. She thought of what Junhee said, show yourself to Mu1. She is curious about the real Mu1 Choi, not the one she just caught glimpses of during their marriage. She wished he would think the same thing about her. The next day at the restaurant of Yurei's choice, Mu1 sat across from her with a bowl of food in the middle of them. Yurei stated you probably won't like this very much. You can have something else if you don't like this. Mu-won replied. Well, it's not that I don't like it. I just haven't had this before. I could try this time. Shocked Yuri asked, so, you want to try? With the chopstick she grabbed a piece of food and fed it to him. How is it? Munching on the food, he mumbled. It's not bad. Feeling happy with the reply, Yuri felt relieved. She proceeded to eat and exclaimed happily, that the food is so yummy. Mu-won commented, I've never seen you eat so well. She replied we hardly ate together. Saddened for a moment as it reminded of the past, he thought, when everybody got together for the meal once every week, she had to attend to the other family members, so they didn't get to eat at the same time. Yuri told Mu-won about her honest opinion of their past. The dishes cooked by the maid from Ilsan weren't my kind of food. I've got a sweet tooth and I like strong flavors, but your family has mild tastes. He stated, your dishes were quite tasty. She smiled cheerfully, it's a good thing I learned well. Haha. Have some more, Mu-won. Ah yes, he replied. Mu-won saw a side of Yuri he hadn't seen before. Was she capable of making jokes so well? He really didn't know anything up until now. What she dislikes, what she likes, and what face she makes when she's full. He is eager to know more. After the dinner date, standing beside the car, Yuri thanked Mu-won for the delicious meal. He asked when she needed to be at the store tomorrow? She answered, it's her shift to open the store, so she is leaving early. Why? Looking at her endearingly, he held her delicate fingers, and moved closer to her, tell them, you'll be late. I want to be with you a little longer. He gazed at her lovingly, and moved his thumb to touch her soft, delicious lips. While gazing into her eyes, Mu-won leaned in closer, and closer to where they can feel each other's heart beating. Just as Mu-won's lips almost touched Yuri's lips, she came back to her senses and pushed him to stop. Yuri told Mu-won that she wanted them to keep the relationship platonic for a while. What? Mu-won looked shocked upon hearing the request. Platonic? Inside the cafe, they each had a cup of coffee as they sat across from each other. Mu-won asked Yuri the reason why, as in their married life, they disagreed many times and didn't know much about each other, yet they had the best physical chemistry. Yuri sipped her coffee as she thought of a better way to explain to Mu-won. She replied to Mu-won that it may sound old school these days, but she adheres to premarital chastity. Clank! Her response caused Mu-won to drop his coffee on his thigh. Yuri quickly got up holding the handkerchief in her hand, concerned about his clothes. They are wet. She suggested wiping off the coffee first, to which she proceeded with cleaning his thigh. Unable to stand the physical touch, especially an almost delicate area like his thigh, Mu-won blushed and held Yuri's hand. He told her to stop. He will do it himself. Yuri wanted to say but Mu-won insisted she stop. After the ordeal, Mu-won continued to ask her where they left off regarding the chastity thing. He couldn't understand since they were already married once. Yuri explained that she is not just talking about marriage as a system. She wanted to shy away from sleeping together, until she was sure about their relationship. Mu-won asked, how can she be sure then? Was she basically saying the same thing as before, that he was doing this because of her body? Just as he finished saying that, he thought to himself, sure, I cannot say it's completely untrue, but if I was only interested in her body, I wouldn't be getting such a headache from everything. Why am I making all this fuss? Yuri's words interrupted his deep thought. She told him, it's the opposite. Her response caught him off guard. It took him a moment to process. She blushed, thinking of the past few encounters where she faltered and almost gave in to him. She told him, it's about her. She is worried that she may do this because of his body. Mu-won finally knew what she thought of. Looking at her blushing shyly made him go crazy. He felt a big relief and said that it's a good thing Yuri is attracted to him. Yuri does not think so. A physical relationship is not everything when it comes to being attracted to someone. Certainly not everything. Mu-won asked why does that matter? It's not like they've just met for the first time and were holding hands and kissing each other. He remembers her body, sound, touch. Everything so vividly. If they had just met for the first time and starting a relationship, he wouldn't debate this. He would have just gone with the flow. Yuri insisted they need to consider a lot of things, so she would like to approach it carefully. Because for her, this relationship is a process to have confidence in her feelings toward him, so she begged for him to give her some time. Mu-won stared at Yuri without answering, which caused Yuri to feel a little nervous. She felt like no matter what she said, this won't work at all. A platonic relationship. Muon didn't even do that in his 20s, but in the end, he could only give in to her. Fast forward to the next scene, Yu-rei and Muon sat in the movie theater, watching a scary movie. While Muon felt unperturbed by the horrifying scene, Yu-rei was different. She shook, scared, covered her mouth and grabbed Muon's hand for comfort. And this is how their period of platonic love started. Muon never thought he would be in this type of situation. Yu-rei felt scared at a scene and turned her head sideways. With his big hand, he helped block her sight from seeing any part of the scene she does not want to see. He thought she was really cute. After the movie ended, they walked as they chatted. Yu-rei thought the movie was fun, while Muon couldn't concentrate on anything. Suddenly, he stopped her, and handed her a gift box. She asked, "What is that?" He told her it was a Christmas present. Yu-rei apologized for not getting him anything. Muon said it was okay. He just wanted to give the gift to her as he thought this would suit her best. She asked if he picked it himself. He told her yes and asked if she liked it. Yu-rei told him it was beautiful. Muon asked to put the necklace on for her. In the middle of the walkway, Muon put the necklace around her neck. Yu-rei thanked Muon and just as they looked at each other, the snow started falling down. Muon never felt like this before. He has heard his name being called so many times before, but just now, it felt like his name was being said for the very first time. And they kissed as if they were alone in the entire walkway. A large Christmas tree was decorated in the main lobby of the mall, giving out the holiday spirit vibes to its customers. Yu-rei looked in the mirror, admiring how beautiful the necklace is. She overheard other staff gossiping about raising the sales guarantee suddenly. One staff member complained, she couldn't help it. It was the order from the head office. The two female staff continue, "You know, how tough it was for her to make up this month. She already maxed out. What does the other staff want from her? Once they successfully launch their brand this time, they can become Hankyung Wool Company affiliate. They cannot be a contract-based pop-up store forever." The sales summary, only 1 month is left until the date Sungwon has set. Just 1 more month, then it'll be over. Yu-rei was reminded that the sales report has come out today. She walked back into Glow Spa shop. As she entered, her staff greeted her cheerfully. As the three looked at the report, 2 fitted clothes ranked at the top of all the fashion brands, followed by several Hanjayang Wool Company brand. Considering women's sear, they took the top 10. Glow Spa did well by ranking 11th place. It meant that Glow Spa were the best-selling menswear brand. Considering their low sales in the first month, even with the opening event, their sales this month will be crucial. Yu-rei agreed with the conclusion. Jianwu asked, pointing to the ranking chart, whether Belga's ranking is correct. Yu-rei asked what makes him think that. He explained, it doesn't make sense that they ranked above brand A, a brand that was quite popular among middle-aged demographic and the sales weren't tied to tourists. How could they have lower sales than Belga? Yu-rei pondered and said she overheard the Belga staff talking about a sales guarantee. Though a few years ago, Sungwon stopped all deals with sales guarantees. It is rumored that Hanjayang Wool's taking over Belga once Belga has a successful launch of their brand. And the headquarters seems to be asking the connected employees for the sales guarantee. While Yu-rei was making deductions with her team, an announcement from the overhead reported that the CEO will be making daily morning meeting rounds instead of department head Han. Each store should pay close attention to hygiene and attire. Yu-rei and her team questioned the overhead regarding what they heard is true. Soon, staff from each store lined up perfectly outside their shop's door waiting for the CEO to walk by. Looking at him coming closer to Glow Spa, Yu-rei pondered why would Muon attend the morning conference? Muon stopped at Glow Spa and made a comment to Yu-rei that her performance in the last month was good. Jianwu exclaimed in high spirit, "Thank you very much. We will do our best in our sales." While Yu-rei blushed nervously thinking what was Muon doing. Muon walked away, but turned back, commenting that Yu-rei has a nice necklace. This made her blush even more. In the conference room, Muon asked the admin regarding their market strategy. Why would they think by giving discounts since the proposed sale event doesn't sell? Why do they think anyone would rather purchase goods from a department store and pay a higher price rather than from a mass retail store or online home shopping? Muon rattled on about the poor proposal proposed by the executive team. Finally, he asked for department head Han's opinions on the sales event, to which startled her. She told Muon that she will have a new proposal ready by tomorrow. Muon announced that if he sees a single word about a sales event in the proposal tomorrow, he will rip up the proposal on the spot. The meeting adjourned and everyone left feeling dejectedly about the new proposal deadline due tomorrow. Muon called out to department head Han before she left the door if she had some time this evening. He wanted to have dinner with her. She told him her father is in China at the moment. He was aware of President Han's itinerary, but he had something to talk to her alone, at 7 p.m. at XX restaurant. Feeling a little relief, she asked if the occasion is business-related since the XX restaurant is known for marriage proposals and similar events. Muon replied that it's personal. He needs to make clear of their relationship. Department head Han was up in the cloud, feeling proud. She was not surprised since Muon is quick at calculation. He must have at last realized who he needs to be partnered with, considering the current state of things. She hummed proudly that Muon must have only felt sympathy for his ex-wife only. Thinking of what Yurei told him that she won't just flirt but sees him completely, Ms. Han called that bullshit. The one who is seizing Muon is her. Outside XX restaurant drive-thru entrance, Ms. Han arrived with grandeur. She asked the attendant if CEO Choi had arrived yet. They told her not yet. It's all right with her. She will just wait inside. The attendant showed Head Han to the room, stating it's been a long time since they hosted either of them. Head Han asked if CEO Choi had not been there recently. The attendant said the last time was last fall, accompanying Chairman Han, her father. Head Han felt even more excited, that he hasn't frequented the place with any other women. The attendant stated that there may be good news since CEO Choi ordered a cake for the special occasion. After the attendant left, Head Han took out her compact makeup case to look at herself in the mirror, making sure she looked great for the dinner. Suddenly CEO Choi stated she came pretty early. CEO Choi stated he will have the daily special. Head Han said she'll have the same too. The attendant asked if they wanted wine. The restaurant just received some good vintage wine. Head Han was excited and about to ask for some, but CEO Choi declined as he has to go back to his office later. Head Han was disappointed. Why would he decline wine on a good day like today? Then she was reminded of what her father said, that he wasn't much of a drinker. During the dinner, Muon told Head Han to submit a report on how to entice the top 5% customers and the so-called YOLO heirs as prospective young customers. Department Head Han sulked, thinking whether he was just going to talk about work. The attendant came back to clear the table. He asked CEO Choi if he should bring out dessert. CEO Choi told him sure. A minute later, the light dimmed and a cute white fruit cake was brought out. On the cake was one candle and a large diamond ring was stuck in the middle of the cake. Light music was playing in the background. The moment Department Head Han has been waiting anxiously for has finally arrived. She was ecstatic. Muon glared at the attendant and asked him what's all these about. The attendant stated the chief secretary who made the reservation today specially requested for this. CEO Choi clarified that there must be a mistake from his side. He will handle the costs and to take the cake away. Department Head Han questioned the misunderstanding. Muon assured that it surely is a misunderstanding and called her appropriately. Ms. Haisu Han, I had told you from the start that I do not have any intentions of marrying you. The reality hit her. Unable to accept this, she asked, barely managing to control her clenched hand, if he meant to say he is breaking up with her. Muon told her that he made himself clear, but Chairman Han seemed to have another idea. Was there anything between them other than business? He asked whether he has ever hinted to her that he had any feelings toward her, Ms. Haisu Han. Him and Chairman Han maintain a very satisfactory and beneficial business partnership. He hopes there won't be any instances that will cause either of them too much discomfort. She asked if it's because of that woman? That woman? Muon asked. She replied, your ex-wife. The employee at Glow Spa, Yuri Lee. Are you seeing each other again? Muon answered that this has nothing to do with Yuri. Even without Yuri, he had no desire to marry her, Ms. Haisu Han. Her brows twitched and she asked how could. Muon insults her like this? He answered, she called this an insult? She should know that Yuri Lee isn't someone she can treat lightly. Ms. Han retorted but. Muon's hand slapped on the table as he stood up. He stated clearly to Haisu Han that she is free to choose how to mediate between him and Chairman Han, but if she ever makes a person dear to him shed tears again, there will be no room for forgiveness. Angered, Haisu Han questioned what does Yuri have that she doesn't have? Why can't she be the one? After blurting out her anger, she regretted looking desperately impulsive. As Muon walked away, he told her, "She is not Yuri Lee. That's all."